Yeah, so like if I could laugh without putting a title in, like, is it a way for me to go back and fix auto post? Um, guess not. So this is my grow room for witches on our road to 1,000. Once we hit that, we'll, just change the goalposts. We'll move it to 10,000 and so on and so forth. So I'm happy to be here, first of all. I normally would have came here much earlier today, but it's Saturday. It's my day of rest, and I've quite literally been resting the entire day. And no cut cards, but I have no shame in that. I am quite shameless in how I've been in my pursuit of rest today. When I tell you that my youngest has been making it quite hard to do absolutely nothing. She was not having it as far as like me trying to get her to hang out with her sister. I know, like, because I have these days where I dedicate my Saturday wholeheartedly to just me recharging, reconnecting with myself, and just relaxing and chilling. I make it a point to engage with both my children as much as I deem possible. Like, I don't have a plan to play with them all day outside of, like, cooking and cleaning and stuff like that. So on Saturdays, when I'm not cleaning as much and I'm only doing, like, basic hygiene stuff for me and them, and just basic cooking stuff, for the most part, if my oldest wants food or snacks and stuff, because I've taught her how to prepare meals, especially simple stuff, she can take care of that for herself. It's my youngest that I still have to do all of that stuff for. So when I'm eating, she's eating. That being said, after we do all the bare necessity things, she's still trying to stay attached to my hip, and I'm just like, look, we'll play for a little bit. After that, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta keep yourself company for today. And I try to encourage that, like, independence in her early on. Sometimes she be with it, sometimes she don't. That being said, girl, don't you know, like, I be looking forward to when she finally go to sleep, because that's when I really have my me time. But I still have fun today. Despite me complaining, I'm acting like I didn't have a good ass time playing with her outside when I did. I really like when we go outside and, like, play in the backyard and we show love to nature and we, like, sit and hug a tree. Like, the way she looks at me as she's hugging a tree is just so fucking cute. She cute, yes, don't get me wrong. She know it too. But yeah, I just needed to rant about that real quick. I feel a lot better. Yeah, because I ain't got nobody to be talking to. I ain't got nobody to be talking to. People I could talk to, I just really don't want to be talking to them. I feel like the best person to rant to is yourself. I really feel like people should talk to themselves more. Like, no shade, because most of the time, people's advice be unsolicited. Like, you ain't asking for it. Or they give you advice that does not benefit you in any way, shape, or form. And then I really prefer to talk to myself. Like, I've been with myself for the longest time. And just going through life and realizing, like, y'all ever realize, like, when you, okay, so y'all ever realize when you pay attention, right? Do you notice the difference between talking to yourself, right, and finding a solution and or the advice that you really want to hear versus talking to someone outside of you about your problems and they tell you some shit that you really don't want to hear or really cannot utilize? Like am I the only one who who experiences that? Like, it can be for your personal life. It can be even in relationships, because 9 times out of 10, if you are in a relationship and you're talking to a single friend, okay, and you talking to a friend, right? And you in a relationship, and they might be either single or equally having relationship troubles, whether it's the same type or not, because that also matters. And they tell you some shit that's like not very useful and it makes your relationship 10 times worse. Like, you gotta understand, like, most of the time when people like come to you just ranting ranting and raving, it's just because they just want to talk shit. Like, they don't want to hear nothing. They don't want your advice. Even if you do have good advice, bad advice, they don't really want it. And I've learned for myself, like, I've at least been able to admit, like, for myself, that a lot of the times when I used to, like, go to people with problems, it's just because I want a trauma dump. It was just because I wanted a trauma dump, right? I wanted to just lay myself bare and just dump all that stress and anxiety on someone else that they can hear and agree or whatever. It just felt good to just release all of that. And the thing about it is, you can release that without anyone else being around. Even when you talk to yourself. And it's better to do that with yourself, because honestly, you know you best. Because you're going to talk to someone else about it and go, what? Are you going to be honest with yourself and hold yourself accountable for whatever the fuck you was complaining about? Or are you going to be upset that someone is trying to tell you, like, oh, well, I feel you, I hear you. However, accountability, self-accountability at that. You're going to get mad at them. I ain't trying to hear no advice. I don't want none of that. I just wanted somebody to talk to about it. What's the difference? You need a sounding board. Be your own sounding board. The fuck? Thank you. So, through my years of wisdom, I realized that I am my best sounding board. So I was talking to myself. Like, me being on here is just like me being more comfortable with just talking out loud about it. Because I go back and I watch my videos. Like, I really can care less how many people show up. I'm really doing this just for me, for real, for real. But, yeah. Yeah, like, I definitely been practicing using a new word, allegedly. Because I don't really be talking about shit that is alleged. Because, honestly, as someone with, like, clairvoyant gifts, you can call it oracle, you can call it mystics, whatever the fuck you want to call it, psychics, whatever. Like, when you tap in to the earth or whatever information, you tap into a person and you see their truth and you see their authentic self laid bare, the self that they like to hide. It's, how can I explain this? It's one thing to know it yourself. It's a total other thing to know and then see verification on the outside. So, like, a lot of psychics will tell you, like, oh, that person's no good for you, right? You should probably leave them alone. And you want to ask all the questions under the sun. Oh, why? What are they going to do to me? Does it matter? You need to see proof. You need to see external validation in order to take this psychic's advice. Okay. And then when you see the validation, what next? What next? That's what we talking about. That's what we talking about. So, like, when I am either reading a person or reading the earth, right, in the earth's true history, allegedly, and the information that I find out about, I just love, especially recently, how that information has just been just popping up everywhere, popping up everywhere. Like, maybe I just wasn't on a timeline where a lot of people was talking about it, and that's where the phrase comes from, like, I'm not wrong, I'm just early, comes from, right? But whatever it is, y'all, I'm with the shits. I'm with the shits. I'm with the shits 100%, because knowing and then saying what you know, months, years on end, come on now. Like, when I first, like, was in the whole Anunnaki history, reading the holy tablets and things, like, I was reading them, I was gung-ho about it, I was like, yes, I was in my ego, for real, for real. And I was just appreciating that, you know, as a melanated sister, it's black people out here doing amazing shit. And I was like, fuck yeah, our ancestors, black as shit, okay? They started this. They from a different plane of existence. They from planets and space and whoop-de-whoop. And I'm reincarnation of this, that, and the third. Y'all, like, when I say, I was just, like, all in 100%. And, like, I don't judge myself and I don't judge other people who are in that state currently, only because of the fact that going through your journey has so much significance, right? It's so important to see all aspects, right, of every single place, of every single thing in this world in order to, once you've seen everything, right, to come full circle and sit with yourself and go like, oh, so this from there was accurate, or this from there was accurate. You know, like literally taking everything with a grain of rice, with a grain of salt. Because sometimes you got to go smaller than the rice. And I really appreciate going through that because I was able to read those books. I was able to see the faces, learn the names, right? And after all of that, I came to a crossroads, right? Where I could blindly follow what I read and what I saw and stayed on that path, or I could have took the red pill, which I did, right? Because the thing about growth is you can't stay complacent, right? You can't stay stagnant. Life is about learning and changing and growing. And we have to accept that in all of its capacities, right? So whether you start off in religion and you change from that, we all start somewhere. And the place where everyone is going, right? The end of the road is always going to lead right back to you. Right back to yourself, right? So I say that to say, it doesn't matter where you start. Like, you can start where you worshiping the gods of the Bible, the gods of, the Anunnakis. You can worship any extraterrestrial, aliens, whatever. At the end of the day, once you finish, right, giving all of that energy to external sources, at some point, you'll get to a point where you're so exhausted that you just want to feed yourself. And the changes in your life that comes one step at a time, once you make that decision, it changes your life. It absolutely changes your life. Now, that being said, I will finish talking about my journey because I feel like that's where I'm going today on my day of rest, because I didn't put a title on this live. Normally it would have said, grow room for witches. And I'll still just talk about whatever. Mostly witchy related stuff. But I feel like I want to go into this whole thing as to what I actually do with my gifts, right? So again, I came to a crossroads where I want to talk. I wanted to, sit with myself, right? Because the one thing that in the spiritual community is preached very hard on, right, is meditation, right? To go within to find the answers. And I'm kind of getting to the point where, like, maybe some people talk about it and then, like, don't really it's two things. They either don't understand what it means to meditate truly, or they just talk about it and they don't actually do it, right? Because when you sit with yourself, yes, thoughts and questions come about, but that's the point, right? To not just have them arise and disregard them, is to have them arise, pick them apart in a sense where you address them fully, right? 100%. And within doing so, you come to have certain enlightenment on certain topics in your life. So, for example, you're meditating and a reoccurring thought about why you hate your mother or why you hate your parents in general. I'm sure too much. Look, a thought comes up on how you hate your parents, right? And you could, as you meditate, right, go, which I would consider this the wrong way to meditate. You can either go, oh, I hate my parents, but that's not really true. I'll accept that I had that thought. Now I release it. That's not meditation. Meditation is just a fancy word for shadow work. That's my personal opinion, right? Because if you have this reoccurring thought every time you meditate, it's because you haven't addressed it, and it will never go away unless you address it 100%. Not have the thought come and, oh, this is a thought that I have, now I let it go. No, you have to address it. Otherwise, it will continue to keep coming back. So why you hate your parents? Well, you know, I was raised in a way that I don't feel like I like. Now you have to address that. You have to address that. And it'll probably take longer. Like, you might spend a whole meditation session for a couple of weeks on that one topic alone. But it'd be justified. It would be justified because of the simple fact that that's heavy, dense shadow work. There's lots of heavy emotions within something as deep and complex as that. And it caused a lot of trauma to your child, your inner child. And you didn't address it for so many years to the point where now you have no choice but to address it. At least your body is telling you, hey, now we're finally sitting with ourselves and we're in silence. We're not overstimulated by external sources, right? Let's sit down and chat for a second. And that's just what it is. Yeah, so that to me is what true meditation is. So because I have done that, I've been able to get to the point where when I meditate now and I have questions, right? A lot of people say, well, I don't know too much about that. And that's a good question. I'm going to meditate on that. That's good. That's a valid response. Because once you do meditate on it, the answers you receive in return, that is where enlightenment comes. That is enlightenment. That is where enlightenment comes from. So if you're someone who is in the spiritual community, whether you're in religion and you're questioning your God, right? What you would do is not use your pastors as a sounding board. You would use yourself as the primary and only sounding board. And it might take a long time, especially if you've been in this indoctrination system for years on end, right? So, I mean, thankfully for me, I was only studying like all the Anunnaki stuff for probably like maybe 3 years. And it's the difference with me is like, well, most people anyway, especially very studious people, when we find an interest in something and we're studying it, we learn as much as possible about that stuff, especially like those with like ADHD. The moment I might have like a touch of autism, because it's a lot of times when I get so focused on a task and I'm like excited about it, or whatever, however I feel about it, I don't want to stop that task until I finish it, or at least get close to finishing it, because the moment that I have to stop, I get upset. So that's where I feel like I have probably a touch of autism, but I've never been diagnosed with it. So I've only been diagnosed with like ADHD and dyslexia. So, but when I hear other people, especially women, talking about who are diagnosed with both of those things, that is a common issue that they express. And I'm just like, yo, that's me. And I've like found ways to cope with it, but it's still something that I go through every time. So I appreciate those coping mechanisms. But individuals like us, like when we find something we're very interested in, like we study it, right? We'll dedicate so much time in a day, day after day after day, to find so much information. So me studying like the Anunnakis and the Holy Tablets for 3 years, I learned a lot. Okay, I learned a lot, and I got to the point where once I learned everything and I read all the books, and I was just like, okay, it's time for me to sit with myself, meditate, and ask these questions. Because just like with the Bible that I was raised in from the church, from the Catholic Church, right? Christian, baptism, whatever. The Bible, they all use the same book pretty much, whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament. So when I sat with myself, right, and I meditated, I was like, look, like I'm feeling a type of way, so I need answers, right? I need answers. So like, who are these so-called daughters, and why was y'all in the sky and not doing nothing to save or protect them from these individuals who supposedly came into them, right? Came onto, into, whatever. Was it consensual? Was it not? Was it? I did not like the answer that I got. So then I continued on to other stuff. Like, I don't know if I want to go into all the questions that I asked. Yeah, it was so many. Let me see. Higher self, help me. Help me just at least address the ones that help me make what I'm saying clear. Okay, so the most recent, like, as far as what's going on right now, right? For us to be connected, no, it's all the same. Because my thing is, if that was the case for those women on Earth, and those, in the sky, supposedly overseeing everything, didn't do anything then, why are they still not doing anything now? Right? That was my question. And when I found out about like Inky and Enlil, and how like they was always allegedly, and I'll say like I'll say I'll say they bump heads a lot, right? Because they disagreed on a lot of stuff. So where I was upset with was the fact that they bump heads so much that supposedly Enlil, right? He had jurisdiction over the regulation of Earth and the skies above, right? However, Inky was supposedly in charge of mankind because he was the scientist that conducted the experiments to bring forth, right, the birth of mankind. We'll say mankind because it's supposed to be kind of like a man, or kind of like the original humans. And y'all, like, buckle up. Allegedly, right? This is all alleged. There's no facts. I really don't have any books where y'all can reference what I'm finna tell y'all. So, unless you meditate, because the thing about it is, the Akashic Records is literally available to everyone, right? Knowledge, information, at its core, at its most purest state about the plane of existence that we're on called Earth is open to everyone. You just have to be willing and open, not only to tap into it, but to accept what truths come with it. That being said, a lot of people are not. A lot of people are not. They're going to hear this and they're going to be like, fuck that. That don't resonate with me. That can't be true because our God's got to be black. And they coming there because they black. They're definitely coming here to save us. And we're going to be saved from the white man and the government and whatever. When you, y'all funny. Okay, so when we talk about the Anunnakis, right, and the two brothers, and how, because, they bump heads, and Inky was actually for humanity, and Enlil wasn't, and that's where you have, the domino effect that led us to today's day and age. What I found interesting and what didn't seem to add up with me was how convenient that storyline was. And I'm going to tell you why I felt like it was convenient, right? Because for these two MFs to be brothers, however, their father is the head honcho, right? The most high, and everybody has to do what he says. Why didn't he choose fit to intervene within this war, right? If what Enlil was doing was so bad and was so wrong, why didn't he step in to stop his son? Right? And when I meditated on that, the answer I got was so full of shit. I was like, okay, so you didn't want to intervene because it's not your place to. Yet you are the Most High, so when will you intervene? And when I tell you, it wasn't so much that I didn't get an answer. It was both like almost like he was trying to avoid answering the truth, right? Kind of like beating around the bush type of thing. So when I was meditating, I was just like, I know, right? I know. And so like when I was sitting here like just meditating on communicating with Anu, I was just like, your children out here like fucking up. When are you going to intervene and make right what they fucked up? So he was pretty much like, I don't get involved in that. And I was like, bullshit. Bullshit. And he was like, I mean, it is what it is. That's pretty much the answer that I got, y'all. When I tell y'all I was so fucking pissed off, it is what it is. Then I got to looking more at the brothers, right? So it came to my, attention that they never left, right? After this whole flood thing scenario, because it's two different stories where one, the flood was caused by them, and then another story was that it wasn't caused by them, but they knew it was coming. Because apparently it happens every 3,000 millennia, whatever the fuck. Right? And it's just like, they saved themselves. Because they was in spaceships, so they didn't drown. But once the waters receded and subsided, they came back. It's really like, it's given I got mind control over Devo, right? It's given he say shut up, but when he leave, I be talking again. Like, it's given that. So I was just like, okay, let's stop here. Let's stop here, because once I heard that, I'm like, well, shit, maybe I need to go way further back, because if I start here, I'm gonna have so many more questions, right? So it's like when you have a puzzle. It's like when you get one of those like boxes of puzzles, and you get a box, like you buy a box of puzzles from the thrift store, right? And you realize, like, once you're starting to put it together, and you see some pieces are already connected, so you keep them connected, right? Because you like, bet, let's go make this process much easier, and we're gonna breeze through this. Then you realize those pieces that are connected don't even go to the freaking puzzle. They're not even a part of this puzzle. They're part of some other freaking puzzle. How the heck they get in this box? Right? So you like, how we get in this box? And there are also other puzzle pieces that's not connected, but they also don't belong in this box with this puzzle. So you're like, okay, well, bitch, I need to take everything apart and reassess, because what belongs to this story, this puzzle box, and what doesn't? And then you get through sifting through everything, right? You realize half this shit don't belong here. Yet, you had to go to the beginning, right? You had to start from scratch in order to come to that realization. So, that's what I did. I went back to the supposed beginning, right? When they came here, right? They found a species here on Earth already. Now, mind you, it's also 2 stories to that, right? You got one story where they came here, right? Synced that it was, no, already knew that it was, native inhabitants on this plane. But they were so primitive, right? That they didn't, first of all, they didn't speak. They didn't speak a language to them. That's like me being an ignorant American going to Japan and being like, these motherfuckers primitive as shit. They don't speak English. First of all, not only is that rude as fuck. Yes. Did you even take the time to pay attention to any of the sounds? Did they make sounds at all? Or did they just look? People ain't just walking around looking at each other, waving, and just completely understanding everything. Even
Maybe
then,
they have sign language if they do.
That's right. So there's some type of language being spoken. However, in your ignorance, you just assume they don't have a language. Therefore, they must be primitive. There must be backward, primitive, ape-like creatures. No,
That's messed up.
It is.
Yeah,
it
because
is.
sign language is still a language.
You are absolutely right. However, thank you for your input.
Yeah.
Are you done eating? Your mouth's spicy, ain't it? Go drink some water, then brush your teeth and get ready for bed.
Had some water.
Good. Brush your teeth then. So you don't have to be talking in my live. Although you are correct. Go on now.
Okay. Can I have a hug, okay?
Come on.
Yay!
I love you.
Don't squeeze me.
Because you're full, right? That pack of noodles is big one.
Yep, and around.
It comes with a lot.
Yeah. And what I thought was the like chicken powder, it was really spicy powder.
Yeah.
And now I understand there's each pack like Rumi's pack. You can get Rumi's ramen from like the little.
No,
thing.
it's all the same flavor.
Oh.
They're just different characters on there. Yeah, so.
What I thought.
My love,
Okay then.
you know when your sister start hearing your voice, she get curious as to what's going on. That's why I don't want you.
Cause you love me.
Yes, she love you. She give you all the huggies. Okay, so like I was saying, I had to take a little break real quick. However, there's two stories to this, right? To that whole, because again, it's so super rude. It's so super rude. It's so super rude and presumptuous. So that also lets me know their character already off the rip, because when I look at etymology, right, for certain words, like I believe it was giant, they're from the etymology of the word giant. I forget which language it came from, but one of the phrases that came with the word giant meant earthborn. Earthborn, right there. So my thing is, for people to just blindly disregard so much about what's literally right in front of them, it makes sense that you could be watching the news, right? You can be watching the news. They'll show you a clip of something happening in supposedly reality, but because the narration, right, the news anchor that's speaking, that's narrating over top of the video, they are telling you what they want you to see. Therefore, your beautiful, brilliant eyes overlook what's right there in front of you. That's how they do it. So knowing that, I go, okay, so we gotta go, bring it back. So let's say, hypothetically, right, allegedly, that wasn't true. Let's say that wasn't true. Then you have this second story that I heard, right, about the beginning, how when the Anunnaki got here, they didn't see the native entities in this plane, right? They didn't see them. And apparently they were so smart to where they can stay hidden from these new beings that just showed the fuck up from the sky on their planet that they've lived on for fuck knows who long, how long. Who knows how long, right? And they've been watching them this entire time. However, the Anunnaki didn't know that they were there, right? So that's where you get another puzzle piece, right? Another grain of sand. When I was studying the Bible, someone brought it to my attention, right? That in Genesis, right, where they're talking about, how there was this like narration of how the sun and the sky, everything was being built, and like he did some shit into the water. I ain't gonna say what, but yeah, that. And apparently there was someone observing. And when I heard that, it was kind of like the person who was observing, or the entity that was observing, was in the waters already, right? But then I asked myself, okay, so what if that wasn't the case? And then I just sit there. And then I go, okay, so if these entities that are native to this plane of existence, what if they actually, allegedly, did see them, right? They saw these Anu, right? Those from the sky down to earth came and were observing them and was just like, the fuck are them, man? What the fuck are they doing here? Right? They just observing them. They stand far away because, you should never trust a stranger. You should never just blindly just walk up to like, hey, you look new here. How'd you get here? And what you doing? Just no. Sit back, observe, have a healthy suspicion of all things. I feel like that's very good advice, right? So as I was meditating on this, right, the puzzle pieces started flooding in. And then I was getting the piece from where I remember in the Bible how, when Cain was kicked out and branded pretty much, and he was like, well, those people out there, they're gonna get me. Who the fuck is them? Right? So that puzzle piece came to me. I was like, oh, so the entities that was out there already, they were like not primitive to the point where not only could they comprehend, they knew the difference between species, first of all, right? They knew that if they saw Cain, they would recognize that he was not like them, first of all. Second of all, oh, bitch, this is three fingers. Anyway. I ain't gonna do numbers. They would recognize that he was not like them, right? And then, also, that he would be able to communicate with them. However, he was clearly taught that these entities were savages and they might just gobble him up. That sounds like some fear-mongering shit that you would teach your children so they would stay away from certain people, right? Another puzzle piece came to me where how, like during Jim Crow, right? Allegedly, during Jim Crow, like you had allegedly certain races of people tell their children not to mess with other certain races of people because those races of people are bad and they're savages and they might just eat you up. Sound familiar? You know, this whole segregation thing going on. Again, those from the sky down to earth came. Them bitches ain't go nowhere. And if you feel some type of way about me calling them bitches, then bitch, that's your problem. You can be a bitch right along with theirs. So, that being said, right? I find it so funny. So, and this is what it means for like psychics. Like when we meditate on something, we don't, if you're hearing a voice, like I've learned that there's a difference between hearing voices in your head and actually having images and recollection come to you. It's the visions, it's the image, it's the recollection. It's the puzzle pieces coming to you that's truth and not some other entity that can tap into your brain waves, speak to you through your thoughts, and try to manipulate either your observation or your understanding or understanding of things. Because that happens. And you have to be able to discern it too. Which is funny to me because for us psychics, witches, whatever you want to call us, I go by both. For us to be able to know how to discern if we're hearing a voice, it very well could be a trickster spirit. And versus us just having imagery come to us that is us. Yet, when we tell people this, they're going to go, oh, bitch, you don't know what you're talking about. You got to trickster that spirit. I'm like, okay. Okay. Just know that when it was the age of matriarchies, right, where women led, because this was a natural feminine gift that most women had, the most powerful one with this, they called her the oracle. She was most likely the head of the tribe. She was empress, goddess, chiefess, whatever you want to call them, a mayor. She was at the top, the one who can tap into this gift the strongest, right? And people listened to what she had to say. So it makes me question, where along the line did they start to be questioned, then doubted, then discredited? And how exactly was it done? Because just like these Anunnaki, allegedly, who haven't gone anywhere, having the technology to manipulate so many things, I'm just saying, with said technology, allegedly, it wouldn't be too hard to discredit a psychic. I'm just saying. However, once everyone's seen all your tricks, right, as a false magician, you ain't got shit else up your sleeves, that's when y'all come right on back, because true magic, true magic is just a gift that just keeps on giving. Okay? So that being said, right, you have the I don't do co-host. Anyway, you have that, right? And when I sat and meditated and received these images, right, of grains of rice, puzzle pieces that I've already absorbed through my life, it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. So you have the similarities of the two. So I'm like, wow. So, okay, you got indoctrination at a very young age. Okay, so let's go back even further. Let's go back to where now we know that there were entities here. So then I asked, okay, so let's say that the native beings that were on this plane weren't primitives, right? They had a language. They had, a way of life, maybe technology. What was it? What would it look like? Then I received the image of the movie Avatar, right? And then I received the image of giant trees, giant animals, right? The movie The Center of the Earth. When I say the information I've shared so far, you can call it baseless only because I don't have any books, barely even any movies or TV shows to give you guys to like reference. I don't. And it's only if you have the patience and the courage to actually pay attention to what it is you're seeing and override the narrations, right? Will you be able to truly see? Because I really feel like they be banking on that. And by they, I mean those false powers. Those sky daddies. And I find that really interesting, that sky daddies, why not sky mothers? It's because they patriarchal. That's where the patriarchy came from. Patriarchy is not organic to this realm. Why? Because nature isn't patriarchy by design. It's a matriarch. It's beautiful, yet it's harsh. Right? Nature is the pure essence of balance, what you call Ma'at. Why wasn't the symbol of Ma'at a man with a phallus? Why some female looking thing with wings? I'd like to know. Because even them, with all their wisdom and trickery, tactics, when they first came here, they was taught by us. It's kind of similar to certain, and y'all see where I'm going with this, right? This is where I feel like I don't think so much like the Bible is a book on the past, as far as it pretty much talked about everything that is either going on or has gone on. And our concept of time has been so warped, right? So lied about, that it could very well be possible that the so-called natives of like this plane of existence were actually natives from a certain continent, right? Because it was also said that certain visitors, allegedly, on a certain continent, right, allegedly, had to be taught by those natives in order to live or even flourish. They had to know the basics on the land that they were dwelling in, because otherwise they would not have survived. Right? So when you come, hold on y'all, I gotta fit this puzzle piece. When you come to this understanding, bitch, when you come to this understanding, you stop, you think, you go like, dang, okay, shit, so there is a connection there. First. Second, you go, okay, so if there's a connection there, and we see, you know, we can hear that the natives here taught the visitors. Call them visitors, you can call them invaders, whatever you want to call them. Because we call sky people, Anunnaki, visitors. Visitors from outer space that came here and populated the earth. They created humanity. Or were they invaders? Allegedly. Because this is all alleged. Y'all, buckle up, because bitch, we halfway done, honestly. But this is the part, this is the doozy part right here. Okay, so we've gone so far back, right, that now I'm receiving images of, you know, giant trees, giant animals, okay. And then I sit and go, okay, well, if everything organic to this plane of existence, right, was large, and we can all acknowledge that, right? There's photos, there's still giant shit to this day, whether it's petrified, falsified, whatever. It was here once, and we can acknowledge that. Right? So when we do that, and then we just jump straight to, oh, humans had to be itty bitty bitty teeny tiny. That don't make sense to me. That don't make sense to me. Even if humans look like, I don't know what the word is because my brain don't register all that science jargon because technically it's BS to me. So even if we started as ape people, wouldn't we be giant ape people like King Kong? And that's where I feel like they be playing on our top, right? Because King Kong was this giant monkey. But what if, in actuality, he was just giant and they couldn't tame him, so they considered him an animal? So that part. And another thing, because the whole concept of only giant trees and giant insects and giant animals of any species is in the center of the earth, is another reason why I don't feel like you know, Pangea or whatever the freak, the center of the earth isn't what we think it is. The subterranean cities by that are inhabited by certain extraterrestrial entities, that's a thing. But the center of the earth, to me, right, allegedly, is Earth realm. What we consider a dome or flat earth is actually just the border to this plane of existence. And there are other bubbles, right? There are other dome places throughout the universe. That map about flat earth and how the planets are other flat planes of existence, that hit so home with me. And I was like, yo, that makes so much sense, because my concept of Earth, especially, you know, the map that we have being the center of the flat Earth map from Earth, I'm like, yo, there's probably centers everywhere. And then, if you think about it, if Earth is flat and there is a dome over it, this whole concept that all planets are like an egg or a bell, that makes sense. I'm just saying, because seeing things three-dimensional, you're just seeing the outside. But how would the inside be structured if the outside still matched those shapes? Who's to say that the plane being leveled throughout this dimension isn't factual? That part. So, as I'm receiving this information, I'm like, okay, I need to do some research on words. I'm like, okay, because if everything is big as shit and giant, and I'm seeing images of Avatar, then we were probably, first of all, not some just idiot natives, right? The earthborn entities weren't some just tree monkey swinging MFers. We actually looked very humanoid and so beautiful that apparently the angels from above wanted to mix species with us. One specific, right? Because you got this same story that pops up in the Bible, and then when you read the Holy Tablets, Enki also couldn't keep his hands off the native women, right? Because he liked them so much, he created a vessel, in his lab to move his consciousness from his original body, right? The body that he was in when he came down here onto this plane of existence from his realm, in order to mate with the women of this realm, right? To roam with the people incognito. He created a vessel to do so, just like the motherfucking bitches in the movie Avatar. And then it started to get dark, y'all. It started to get dark. Like, when I tell you I was seeing images to where these native entities were locked up like in cage and just treated so brutally. Allegedly. Right? This is all alleged. It was disgusting. And it's kind of similar to certain Epstein files, to where they were being treated like breeding machines in order for them to be satisfied with the perfect slave human. Allegedly. All I'm saying is, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Bitch, like motherfucking father, like motherfucking son. And when I tell y'all that the Anunnakis are just like the reptilians, are just like this giant black dark-skinned demon with horns that you can call Baal, whatever the fuck his name is. I really don't give a shit. It's the same entity. And certain people, allegedly, who worship and learn from this entity, praise this entity, and are under contract, right? Under, spirit help me, what's the word? Because I was just using it yesterday. Under covenant, right? Or within a covenant with this entity, right? They have a coven. They have a covenant, right? He only acknowledged those within his covenant. His minions. Pretty much. And his minions learn from him. This learnt behavior, science, whatever you want to call it, is what we're seeing today. So when we put the puzzle pieces together, what do we come with? And this is how meditation is supposed to work. Because eventually you get the answer, or you get fragments of it, and then everything else comes in later when you get the certain keys, when you get certain puzzle pieces. Because once you ask a question, the information never stops coming. You just got to be brave enough to just ask the fucking question in the first place. But y'all be so scared to be damned to hell for all eternity, bitch. You don't ask shit. Because what? Yo pastor, yo shepherd told you sheep never to question your God. It's blasphemous, allegedly. I know just how to use that word, bitch, because everything is alleged. For real though, everything is so fucking alleged. Bitch, allegedly. Allegedly, I exist. Allegedly, I don't. Allegedly, we all exist. Allegedly, we're just floating freaking consciousness. And what I see is just a figment of my imagination. But my imagination is so fucking strong that it feels real. That don't make it fake. That don't make it true. Don't make it false either. Because why? My truth is mine and your truth is yours. But we become closer when we at least take a step back to observe our reality. To observe our reality instead of just absorbing everything. And ask the simple questions. Is this right? Is this true? Are you going to be brave enough to ask the basic questions, or are you going to be afraid for the rest of your life until you reincarnate and come back during the next cycle after this go round, and then they decide to want to start new again? Anyway, so yeah. With all that being said, I ended up doing research on words. And I'm glad I did, right? Because then I came to the conclusion that allegedly everything was giant. Everything was giant, right? The native inhabitants of Earth were giant. And then you got the Greek mythology story, right? Because there's always a fucking story. Yeah, there's always a story. And that one goes, first there were titans. And they were so evil. They would eat their children. Which is why it's so believable when the Nephilim being talked about in the Bible was eating up humanity. Allegedly. All I'm saying is, it was definitely motherfuckers eating motherfuckers. I just don't think it was the originals. I think it's more so where you like have that situation where motherfuckers pop up and they're the ones doing the bullshit, but yet they point the finger and be like, oh no, that was you. Gaslighting the shit out of you. Nah, I don't remember doing that, bitch. That was you. You out here eating people and saying they taste delicious like chicken nuggets. Yeah, so then we have this word Tartaria, right? And how structures of Tartaria are everywhere. And not only are the structures built in a way where it would seem that someone ginormous would be the inhabitants of them, but also, allegedly, you know, they was everywhere. There isn't a continent on Earth right now that doesn't have a huge, ginormous structure stamped with Tartarian architecture. And then you have certain places that have it heavy. So heavy, yet a lot of it, one, you will never be able to see because they're in restricted areas. And then two, if you do get a chance to see them, you probably won't even recognize it. You won't recognize what it is that you're seeing. And that's because at some point in time, these structures were hit with some type of weapon that literally melted them. Yet, because of the technology in which the structures were built, you can still kind of make out, you know, what was actually originally there. So, there's that. I love that I'm a psychic. I love that I'm a witch. I'm grateful for my gifts. Even if other people don't believe in it, I believe in me. And that's all really that matters to me. This is all alleged.
However, this will be information that not only will I document for myself and my children to be put in a book to be passed down. Check out my audio book, though. Your girl got a little audio series. Your girl got an audio series. It's called, damn, now I forget the name of my book. Now I forget the name of my audio series. It's on Pocket FM, and it's called The Awakening of a Giant. Oh no, it's called A Giant's Tale. Yeah, because I wrote two, so that was actually my other one, and they didn't pick that one up, unfortunately. But they did pick up A Giant's Tale, so check out my audio story. It's on Pocket FM. It's called A Giant's Tale, and a lot of what I talk about here, I've kind of like, you know, hyperbolized it and made it into a book, because why the fuck not? It's a unique genre, first of all. I don't think there's a lot of stories about giants, and when it is, there's always, you know, ogre type giants that's, you know, doing weird shit. Take your eyeballs and turn them to jelly. Grind your bones to use them for bread. On some Shrek shit. It tastes really good on toast, too. Nah, but I'm gonna start promoting my audio series again, definitely. Because once I finish with my episodes, I'm actually going to turn it into a book. And I'm excited for that. So, be on the lookout for that. But yeah. I am so glad people are talking about it. Like, they haven't gotten to the point where, like, they've made the connections to where Tartarian and giants were actually the natives of planet Earth, and they were the original inhabitants, and it was their genes that were altered and tampered with, right? That cap doesn't just cause a stunt in age. It causes a stunt in growth. It causes a stunt in spiritual and physical abilities, because within my meditations, I've actually realized that those giants who created Tartaria were originally here with the giant trees, and the giant entities that match the giant landscape around them, right? Of course, they would have to be its original inhabitants. The Anunnakis took their DNA, capped it, right? Spliced it, genetically modified it, like so many things here in the nowadays, right? And they took that, right? And then that's where you have people today, because back then, not only were they enormous, but they had all of these abilities, like on some motherfucking Avatar, Aang Avatar, right? Because I find it so funny that when they came out with the movie Avatar, they used the same fucking word as Aang, the Avatar, the fucking airbender. So you got an anime where motherfuckers are literally manipulating the elements. And where did they get their powers from? A fucking giant turtle. What do they fucking call America? Bitch, Turtle Island. This is what I'm talking about. How I appreciate the fact that I get these puzzle pieces, and when I meditate on shit and I got a question, my psychic ability just brings the shit rushing to me in images, and I just be having a that's so fucking Raven moment, and I just be like, oh bitch, the puzzle pieces are getting put together. So yeah, that part. But again, this is just me. And this is where, like, having a gift is amazing, but not as glamorous as people think it is. right? Because I look like an ordinary person. I seem like an ordinary person, but the way that my mind works, thanks to my gift, I'm able to third eye fucking see shit that most people don't see. Or they do see, but choose to fucking overlook it. Which is the fucked up thing, because if I could actually acknowledge, which I do, that I am not the only special person here with this gift and or talent, it would just be nice that other people equally acknowledge their gift. So, I wouldn't feel like such an outcast. I wouldn't feel so lonely. But I'm not alone, because I'm never alone. Because I'm so many things in one. Bitch, I'm my ego, I'm this body, and I'm my higher self. Bitch, that's the Holy Trinity right there. Holy Trinity. We are walking in the Holy Trinity. There's no need for external Holy Trinity. Anyway, I probably have to end this, but I pretty much talked about, tangents aside, I pretty much made the connections I needed to as to why I'm grateful that even though I've come to the realization that this whole Anunnaki, black people, love non-black people, and how it really has nothing to do with color, skin color, because the only thing that matters is the soul within inside the vessel. And some of us had to incarnate in those vessels that were genetically modified, right? In a lab, that were able to eventually, right, give birth, because being recessive genetically makes it almost impossible for you to give birth. However, I'm glad they were able to, because eventually, sooner or later, we will all see that it has nothing to do with skin color. It's about the soul that's on the inside. And the crazy thing about it is the rude awakening, right? The events that will bring about said rude awakening is them same entities that y'all want to call, oh, those are ancestors. They're going to come down and bring heaven upon earth. They're going to save us from the government and the white man. When them motherfuckers come down here and start snatching y'all ass up, when they go, you want to come with us? What if everybody just say no? No, we don't want to go. We good. You think it's going in there? Or y'all think it's going to be just like that simulation they showed y'all from that movie? I find it so interesting how certain old movies, right, don't stay old movies for long. Who's the motherfucker pushing these things on social media? Because I saw nothing about this movie growing up. And because people aren't on, like traditional television, right, on the regular scheduled programming, we won't see it. Because believe it or not, they're regular scheduled programming for a reason. Like when I was younger, it's certain popular movies, and I go popular because they were popularized for a reason, right? It's programming that they want you to not only acknowledge but absorb and make a part of your reality and never forget, right? Just like The Simpsons, it's predictive, not so much that they're telling the future, is that they are telling you, allegedly, right? Allegedly, they are telling you what they're planning on doing, right? And when you see it come to fruition, you go, oh, bitch, The Simpsons is an oracle. Y'all believe The Simpsons are oracles before a goddess witch like me pop up on social media and tell you, bitch, I know the past. Fuck what the future gotta say. I know the past. I know the real past. But let a cartoon show y'all. Let a cartoon tell y'all anything. Y'all fucking flip a dick over it. I'm over y'all. Anyway, yeah. That's not telling the future. That's programming you. So yeah, I've never seen this on any public network, but because people aren't even tuned into that shit no more, they have to find a way to get it out there. So right, where did this come from? Who was the first to post that? Right, that movie, that TV series from way back when about, you know, aliens coming here and telling the world that give us your Negroes, give us all your melanated people, and we'll, you know, trade for trade, right? Because when I seen that video, because again, pay attention to what you see. I'm so lucky, y'all. I'm so lucky that I'm able to pause a video and get the exact quick frame transition that I'm trying to catch, right? Because within that video, within that TV show, movie, whatever, the entity that came on screen to make this public announcement, it kept flickering, right? From a human looking man, right? To something else, like something ugly is the motherfucker, okay? And I'm just like, what the fuck is that? Because clearly, that's what really is making this announcement, not this humanoid man looking thing. That ugly creature thing that keeps shifting in between the frames. Y'all gonna give all the melanated people to that thing? No, one of them bitches was like, bitch, I ain't going. I'm not going, bitch. No. Y'all can starve, bitch. Fuck. We could tell y'all how to survive. There's so many people here that have the ability to tap in to Tartarian technology, right? Polish it and share it with the masses. You got the one dude with the dreads that making plaster diesel, him. Y'all don't think that man is gifted? Fuck out of here. He's psychic on a whole nother fucking level, okay? He is tapping into Tartarian technology and information. He sees the puzzle pieces and he's able to put the shit together. It's many of us where y'all can get the information from. You ain't even got to be melanated to receive the information. Bitch, Nikola Tesla wasn't fucking melanated. But y'all want to go, oh, well, maybe he was an alien for real. Bitch, if y'all don't get the fuck out my face with these alien shits, because the aliens made the pyramids, bitch. It's aliens running your government right now. You got Earthborn, who had their own fucking technology and language and wasn't primitive at all. They had advanced fucking technology. They had advanced minds and bodies. Not only did they operate in a certain type of science, but they also operated in magic and fucking superpowers. What your Anunnaki's doing? Regular shit. Oh, they got some high tech and weaponry. But what they home planet looking like? Fucked up. So fucked up that they gotta go planet hopping, bitch, to other planes of existence and setting up shop there. They fucking came here and destroyed everything, bitch. We was lush, plentiful over here. Mind our own motherfucking business. The moment that y'all see that is bigger than skin complexion, is bigger than your ego, is bigger than your trauma, and you need to fucking address your trauma. So you stop sitting around waiting for somebody to come save your ass. Because the moment you repeat the cycle of giving up your sovereignty, your power, your gift to something fucking outside of you, you're gonna get eaten up. You're gonna get ate. Not in a pleasurable, good way. That's all I'm saying. I like a good snack. I like a motherfucking snack. Okay, I don't want to get inappropriate. This is not for motherfuckers young as shit anyway, so don't be on here if you're not supposed to. Y'all, before I go, I want to give a little PSA, public service announcement, because y'all out here fucking with these wines and spirits, alcohols that got other spirits attached to it. Make your own shit. Make your own shit. If you're not out here making your own wine in this day and age, bitch, you might just give up. Just give up. Just give up. Yeah, you go spit. Just give up. Okay? Just give up. You don't want the best things in life. You don't want it. You don't want it. Because if you did, you'd go for it. You'd go for it. You'd make it yourself. You make it yourself. There are ways. Anyway, after saying all of that, I'm excited to drop this on YouTube because, bitch, why not? Unedited, too, because I'm going to see somebody talking about this. I'm going to see somebody talking to this. And shout out to that beautiful goddess, man, putting the connections together with the contracts through the religions, okay? Because there were definitely contracts made. And certain entities didn't uphold their end of the bargain because they never planned on doing so to begin with. They never planned on it. They didn't give no fucks. But the passage of time that I came to address today only came to the Anunnaki Tartarian stage, right? When they actually, the supposed Anunnaki came here, but that's just the time that they want to document. That's just the time that they actually want to talk about. And I would say that that was probably the second time they came here. The first time they came here, it was way before that. And we still had bomb-ass fucking technology and architecture, bitch. That was one with nature, as it always is and as it should fucking be. Because, period. Because how else can you live in a balanced state? You gotta be one with nature. You gotta be one with your surroundings. Okay, so maybe tomorrow I'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll do that. But right now I'm gonna go because it's 11:33. And I feel like I've been here for at least like an hour or two, so that's all y'all gonna get now. And we always gotta have something new to talk about, to discuss, or whatever. discussed. Ew. To discuss, because a lot of this information is quite disgusting. It's disgusting how they just lie to y'all and y'all just go with that shit. But to each his own. Your truth is your truth. My truth is my truth. It just so happened that I've gone through so many truths to actually know what is real and what is not. You got to. You gotta go through the haystacks to find the needles. It might take time, but bitch, once you prick your finger and you go, ah, bitch, there it is. Aha. Ah and aha. Both the same. But I love y'all, whatever. I'm finna go. Yeah. Shout out to me getting through another